Today, we're ranking the top 5 long-range indoor TV antennas to buy in 2026. And honestly, some of the most advertised high-range antennas didn't even deserve to make this list. A few of these picks performed far better in real homes than the antennas claiming ridiculous 500-mile range numbers online. And the number 1 antenna completely changed what we expect from indoor long-range reception in 2026. Starting at number 5, the Channel Master Flattenna Plus. This antenna is a very good choice for people who want a simple long-range indoor setup without spending too much money. And one reason it made this list is because it does not try to trick buyers with crazy promises. A lot of low-cost antennas claim impossible range numbers, but then struggle to keep basic local channels stable. The Flattenna Plus is much more realistic. If you live in a city, suburb, or apartment within a reasonable distance from towers, this antenna does a very good job. One thing I like about it is how easy it is to set up. You don't have to spend hours moving it around the room trying to find one tiny spot where channels work. For many people, placing it near a window or behind the TV is enough to get started. It also handles local sports and news channels better than many cheap long-range antennas online. That matters because live sports are usually where weak antennas fail first. If an antenna cannot keep a stable HD signal during a football game, it's not a good cable replacement. Another reason this antenna ranked 5th is because it works well in apartments where interference can become a problem. Wi-Fi routers, smart devices, thick walls, and nearby buildings can all affect long-range reception indoors. The Flattenna Plus handles those situations better than expected for its size. Now, the reason it's number 5 is because the long-range performance is not as strong as the antennas higher on this list. If you live farther from towers or deal with weaker signals, you'll want something more powerful. At number 4, the Mohu Leaf Supreme Pro. This antenna is a strong option for people who need more reliable long-range reception inside their home. One of the biggest problems with indoor antennas is signal consistency. Some antennas find channels during setup, but later in the day, those channels freeze, disappear, or become unstable. The Mohu Leaf Supreme Pro does a much better job keeping long-range channels steady throughout the day. That's especially important if you plan to fully replace cable in 2026. You want an antenna that works during the evening, during bad weather, and during live events when signal conditions become harder. Another reason this antenna ranks higher is placement flexibility. Long-range indoor antennas can sometimes become frustrating because moving them even slightly changes everything. The Mohu is easier to work with than many competitors. It also performs well in apartments and suburban homes where signals have to travel through walls and interference before reaching the antenna. For people living farther away from towers, that extra stability makes a big difference. Sports performance is another strong point here. Fast-moving HD broadcasts stay cleaner and more stable compared to lower-ranked antennas. The weather performance is also better than most budget models. During storms or heavy rain, weaker antennas often lose distant channels first. The Mohu tends to hold on to those channels longer before problems start. Now, while it performs very well overall, the next 3 antennas simply offer stronger long-range performance and better reliability in difficult conditions. Coming in at number 3, the Antennas Direct Clearstream Flex. This antenna is one of the safest recommendations for most people because it balances strong long-range reception with easy everyday use. Some long-range antennas are powerful but difficult to set up. Others are easy to use but struggle with distant channels. The Flex sits right in the middle, which is why it ranked so high. One thing this antenna does very well is maintain stable channels over longer distances. A lot of antennas can detect channels during a scan, but keeping them stable while you actually watch TV is much harder. The Flex handles that very well. It also is one of the better options for apartments because it does not require perfect placement. Many indoor antennas only work properly if pointed directly towards broadcast towers. The Clearstream Flex has a wider reception pattern, so setup is easier in real homes. Another reason consumers like this antenna is sports viewing. Live sports quickly expose weak antennas. Pixelation, freezing, and audio dropouts become obvious during fast-motion broadcasts. The Flex handles sports much smoother than most flat indoor antennas. It also does a better job balancing UHF and VHF channels, which helps people who struggle to receive certain local stations. And during storms or signal interference, this antenna usually stays stable longer than many competitors in the same category. The reason it stops at number 3 is because the top 2 antennas are simply stronger for people in weaker signal areas who need maximum long-range performance. At number 2, the Winegard Elite 7550 Indoor. This antenna is built for people who are serious about replacing cable with a long-range indoor setup. The first thing you notice is stronger reception power. If you live farther from towers or struggle with weak indoor signals, this antenna feels much more capable than most slim, flat models. One reason it ranked so high is signal retention. Pulling in distant channels is one thing. Keeping them stable for hours is another thing. The Elite 7550 does a very good job maintaining long-range channels even when conditions become difficult. This antenna is especially good for suburban homes or edge of rural areas where many indoor antennas fail completely. Sports fans will also appreciate the cleaner HD stability here. Fast motion broadcasts stay cleaner and signal drops happen far less often with lower-ranked antennas. Another major advantage is weather performance. Long-range signals usually become unstable first during storms, but the Elite 7550 holds on to channels better than most indoor competitors. It also feels more dependable for everyday use. Local news, network TV, sports, weather alerts, this antenna is reliable enough to become your main TV setup instead of just a backup. The only reason it did not take the number 1 spot is because it's larger and less practical for smaller apartments or tighter living spaces. And finally, at number 1, the Televes Bexia. This is the best long-range indoor TV antenna to buy in 2026 for most people trying to fully cut the cord. What makes the Bexia stand out is not just raw range, it's the overall experience. This antenna performs well in the situations where many indoor antennas struggle the most. Apartments with interference, homes with lots of smart devices, weak signal areas, bad weather, evening signal changes, the Bexia handles all of it better than almost anything else in this category. One reason it takes the top spot is signal stability. You're not constantly rescanning channels or adjusting the antenna every few days. Once it's set up correctly, it stays reliable. Sports viewing is excellent too. HD channels remain cleaner during live games, and signal drops happen far less often with lower-ranked antennas. Another big advantage is smarter signal control. Some amplified antennas boost everything too aggressively, which can actually make channels unstable. The Bexia manages weaker long-range signals more smoothly, which leads to better overall viewing. It's also easier to place than many powerful indoor antennas. You don't need perfect positioning to get strong results, and that's a huge advantage for apartments and smaller homes. And at the end of the day, that's why it's number 1, because the best long-range indoor antenna in 2026 is not the one making the biggest promises online. It's the one that actually gives you stable local channels every day without making you regret canceling cable.